Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to your Peace Village Power Boost session for today. The theme for today, or the title for today, will be Making Mealtime a Power Boost for the Soul, which is so appropriate because it's lunchtime right now, noon. And just briefly to introduce myself, my name is Merrillyn Hener, and I am from Boston. I have been studying and teaching Raja Yoga meditation with the Brahma Kumaris for the last 14 years. And I also work as a physical therapist and an integrative manual therapist in the Boston area. And it's actually through my study of integrative manual therapy that I really became interested in the effects of food on the body and food on the mind and the thoughts, and therefore the soul, because the mind and thoughts are part of the soul. So that's sort of where this is coming from. I think also in Raja Yoga meditation, we really learn and understand how much food affects the thoughts we think, and the energy in the food that we eat influences the emotions that I feel and the thoughts that come into my mind. In fact, I learned through my meditation practice about 50% of our conscious awareness of the thoughts moving through our mind are influenced by the food we take in. And mostly that's because of the vibrations that the food has and carries in it as it comes in the body, and as it influences the way I think. So it's a very, very important topic, and it's also a bit of a hot topic. People talk about mindfulness a lot these days, and mindful eating is one aspect of mindfulness, which is really practical and something that we can easily incorporate into our daily life, so that mealtime becomes a time of sustenance, not just for the body, but also for the mind and also for the soul. And so when we combine mindful eating practices with soul conscious awareness and some of the things we learn in Raj Yoga, it becomes a very powerful tool that we can use to keep our energy high and positive and light during the day. So we'll talk more about strategies on how to do that. But first, I just wanted to go into a little bit about a couple of different scientific studies that have shown the importance of focused mindful eating on how we digest our food and how we absorb our nutrients. So this is not just about a meditation exercise. It's not just about staying focused and reflecting on the self as you eat, but it actually is changing the absorption rate and the amount of absorption of nutrients that's going on in your gut, in your GI tract. So making a big difference in your overall health. So the first of these two studies, it's interesting, was really about multitasking. Both of them are about multitasking, about the effects of doing too many things at once when you eat. And in that first study, they had taken people and asked them to watch a short film. And the first group, they had them eat a snack, or actually, no, I'm sorry, it was to drink. They had them drink a salt liquid and then watch the film afterwards. And then they measured the absorption rate of the salt in the body. And so that was 100% assimilated. 100% they were able to absorb the nutrient of salt if they ate first and then watched their video. And the second group, they drank the salt beverage or the nutrient beverage at the same time that they watched this short film. And what they found was that there was almost no absorption of nutrients when they were distracted and thinking about something else. And so it's a very simple illustration of how when we multitask as we eat, we're on the phone, we're chatting with our colleague or our family, we're watching a video, we're reading the news, we're watching a movie or something. Every time we do that, we're actually decreasing our body's ability to absorb the nutrients that we put in our mouth. So it's no wonder we overeat. How could the body not know? The body wouldn't know it's full because it hasn't absorbed the nutrients. So it thinks that it still needs food. So paying attention actually helps increase the absorption rate of nutrients of the food that we eat. So a very interesting little tidbit to help motivate us to make mealtime a little bit more sacred time for ourselves. The second one was a similar thing about listening to different conversations. And so they had two groups again, and one group ate in silence, and they measured the the gut contractions, the contractions that propel the bolus of food through the GI tract. There's a GEE machine that they can, or EGG machine that they can use to measure that. And so they measured that with someone having no conversation and just eating. And they measured the contractions of the gut. And then they had somebody eat while listening to two different conversations, like one conversation in one ear and another conversation in another ear. And they were eating at the same time. And their EGG contractions and the gut motility went down by 40% when they were doing that dichotomous listening exercise. So another point, if I'm listening to one thing, there's something in the background going on, or I'm working with one ear and my colleague's talking to me, and I'm trying to eat my lunch, my gut is not working right, and I will not be able to absorb my food. So if we take that physical aspect into consideration, just from that, it makes sense that I should sit, close the computer, shut off the phone, close the newspaper, and be in silence as I eat and really reflect on the food that I'm eating and be present with that so that my mind, my attention, my focus is on just one thing, the food that I'm eating. When I do that, I'll get full absorption of all the nutrients. I'll get full gut motility to move the food through as I do that. The other piece of mindful eating, which is again preparation for having a mindful meal, is something called the cephalic phase digestion response. Cephalic means head, so it's like the head phase of digestion. And so studies have shown that 30 to 40% of our digestion actually starts before we eat. That when we smell the food, when the hunger pangs are going, when it looks visually beautiful, when we've got a nice mood around the food that we're eating, the presentation is nice, all of that creates the response in the body of digestive juices flowing, the digestive enzymes starting to activate, the saliva in the body coming up to help to digest the food. So presentation and how we sit with our food and the way it looks and feels and all these kinesthetic things actually do make a difference in the amount of digestion that happens in the body. So sitting at my cluttered desk may not be the right space for me to have a really good meal, powerful, nourishing meal for body and for soul. And that same vein for preparation, it's not just about making food look nice or having a good smell or all sort of the sensual aspects of eating, which of course are important, but we also want to look at that from a spiritual perspective. And that when I cook the food I'm going to eat in a high awareness, I cook in awareness of myself as a soul, a being of peace, a being of love. When I cook with that feeling of love, the vibration coming from the mind and the thoughts and that awareness actually goes into the food and improves its purity and its vibrational content, and actually will help keep the positive, pure, loving thoughts in the mind, even after it's been eaten, because those vibrations are put into the food as cooking happens. So when I prepare from a cephalic head phase digestion response, the smell, the taste, the appearance is all important. But from a spiritual perspective, the awareness, the attention, and the focus I put of what types of thoughts I'm thinking as I cook, what I'm thinking about, and the environment of the kitchen. Is the kitchen clean? Am I playing nice soft music in the background, or do I have the news going? Like, what is affecting influencing my mind as I'm cooking? Because all those vibrations get picked up in the food as it's cooked, and then I'll eat it, and those vibrations will affect me later, either in a positive way or a negative way. So thinking about all these different aspects is one way to make each meal very nourishing for the body and also for the soul. So when I sit down to eat and I'm sitting with the food, I'm aware of what has gone into that food, right? So I start to sit and reflect. So let's imagine it's lunchtime now. Perhaps you're taking your lunch break. Perhaps lunchtime is coming up. Can I eat this meal, just one meal a day even, as a way to nourish not just the body? It's not just about refueling so I can make it through my afternoon. It's not just about quelling the hunger pangs, but it's also about refueling the soul, refueling my inner energy, my inner awareness, bringing myself back to a place of spiritual awareness, or what we call soul consciousness, awareness that I'm not just this role I'm playing. I'm not my job that I'm at right now. I'm not just my role in the family that I'm doing right now, but I am a spiritual being, a soul having an experience within the body, within this life. And this meal helps me to come back to that, right? That I eat for nourishment of the body, but also to reconnect and recharge myself, the being, so that when I go back to the rest of my day, I'm feeling truly refreshed, I'm feeling light, I'm feeling easy, and my energy is good. And of course, the type of food you eat, the health of the food is important, equally important the way it was cooked. And then, of course, what am I holding in my mind as I eat? So it can encourage you today to not let yourself work through your lunch. This is a struggle for me almost every day because my mind goes, oh, if I work through my lunch, I can get out sooner in the evening because I'll finish my paperwork and then I can go. But ultimately, if I can remember that no, this 20 minutes doesn't have to be my whole lunch hour, just 20 minutes of my lunch hour is just for me to reconnect with the self as a soul, to eat with a place of consciousness so I'm truly nourishing the body and replenishing my own awareness. So that cut out the busyness, the running around, the dealing with different personalities and emotions that come up in my day. That is all set aside, and I reconnect to the peace, the love, the light inside myself through this process of mindful eating. So I shut off the computer. I go and sit in a place where I can be quiet and where I can usually be alone. Every once in a while, I need to join my colleagues, but I also try to, a few times in the week, spend that mealtime, just me, myself, my food, remembering myself and remembering God as I'm eating, so that those nourishing vibrations from the food can really do their job. So it's a very, very powerful process. It allows you to eat slowly. It allows you to really pay attention to the texture and the taste of the food that you're eating so that your body physically feels nourished. You can remember where it came from, the awareness in which you prepared it in the morning also will come back to you, so that that awareness comes back into the food and that vibration is heightened even more. And I can also remember that I'm a soul, that the soul, the one that lives in this body, the living being in the body, is feeding the body to nourish the body, not just nutrients, not just vitamins and minerals, right? But also things like vitamin A and vitamin L. What's vitamin A? Vitamin A is awareness. Who is the one who is eating? Who is the one who is absorbing those nutrients? The body is, but it's the soul that lives in that body, and that soul is there, or the body is there to support the soul. And so I'm taking care of that which supports me, and I'm also empowering myself through eating this beautiful meal filled with peace, love, happiness. So let me, next time I cook, think about these positive qualities and put those vibrations in. And maybe even today at my lunchtime, can I take this one meal for myself to be truly nourishing, to sit in silence, to absorb the nutrients fully, and to replenish the energy of the soul as I eat? Allowing that feeling to come over me about who I really am, to keep me in alignment with myself, so that through the rest of the day, I can stay in that soul conscious awareness and really be of service within the job that I need to do. Okay. So thank you all. I hope this was an inspiring little power boost and gave you a couple of ideas for how you can make mealtime a power boost for not just the body, but the soul, and that you've been inspired to perhaps eat one meal a day in silence, right? So from here, we're going to go into a little bit of reflection and just think about some of the thoughts that we can use to put into our food as we cook, and things we can think about as we eat our meal. So sitting comfortably, letting go of the events of the day and becoming present in this moment. Remembering that I'm not just this body, but I'm also the soul, the living being who resides in this body, who expresses through this body. And my original nature as a soul is peace, is love. And as I remind myself, I am peace, I am love, the soul begins to vibrate with the energy of these beautiful, positive qualities. And those thoughts, those vibrations, they influence the atmosphere around me, the people around me, influence my own body. Even influence the food I prepare and the food I eat. So let me hold this beautiful awareness of a powerful being of light, radiating vibrations of peace and love. Not only as I eat my meal, but as I move on with my day, let me interact and act from a place of love, from a place of peace, my original nature. Om Shanti.